So in this video, I want to talk about Spice and Wolf, the merchant meets the wise wolf. I love saying that last line. It just has a nice tone, a nice ring to it. And as I mentioned in my last video, the sort of should you watch, I did watch this anime way back when it first aired, but I don't remember anything from back when I watched, other than like the first couple of episodes, the little string pieces together of them meeting, but all that stuff is kind of gone, and it was very fragmented. So going into this anime feels like a new experience, even though I know the general gist of what it was going to be about, because I kind of have fragmented ideas in my head. It's very scattered, so it's basically a new experience for me. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about in this video was this whole idea of that the Spice and Wolf is meant to be boring. And I see this title from AniTubers a lot, and when I go to watch the videos, I get puzzled by what they're trying to articulate. And honestly, I think, and this is one of the issues that I have with AniTubers, is they build a video around the title, rather than what I prefer to do is build a title around the video. So I generally come up with an idea that I want to talk about. So to give a bit of context, and it kind of has to do with my overall thoughts about the anime and where this topic's going, is that the anime is meant to be boring, is that what content creators do is they'll come up with a title that's going to do really, really well. Something that's, you know, as some people would say, clickbaity. Clickbait can have two different terms. It can be malicious, like it's like a lie, or it's just clickbaity in the sense of getting your attention and getting you to click on it. I see that as harmless. But even if it's harmless, I sometimes do think a lot of content creators come up with a really sort of provocative title, and it gets your attention and you click on it. But then what they do is they build their opinion around the title. But is that really their opinion, that I always ask myself? And sometimes I don't think it is quite the case. I think some content creators build their opinions and their thoughts around the title afterwards, and that kind of makes it a little bit sticky for them, because a lot of the times they'll end up contradicting themselves. They'll end up even confusing the audience of what they're trying to say, and it ends up just leading into people just kind of being like, do you even like the series or hate it, or what are you trying to get across? That's why I prefer to build the title around the video. I'll say what I want to say, I'll say all the things that I do and don't like about a series, and then I'll just come up with a title that kind of works with what I was trying to get across. And sometimes it just leads into it just being a boring title 9 times out of 10, until I come up with a clever one, and then people get angry at me, which just makes it more funny. But in this case, I feel like this is a situation where content creators are building their opinions around the title, in that they try to say, well, Spice and Wolf shouldn't be good, or shouldn't be liked, or should be boring, or something along those lines. And I think when you end up watching their videos and they say, oh, it's because it's about economics, they say economics is boring, and I'm like, sure, Spice and Wolf, a large portion of the story, or a decent portion, or whatever, a percentage, however you want to put it, is about economics. But it's not all just about economics. Even within the first 5 episodes, you can see that there is an underlining story. There's a lot of emotions, character building, world building. It's not all just money, 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 money. Capitalism, baby. It's not all just about that. It is about the characters in the world and the development. Like Hollow kind of really showing her more sensitive, weaker side of her not wanting to be alone, not her wanting to travel back to her home place alone. Like, she wants companionship, even if it is with a mortal human. She desires companionship, as does all creatures, humans or not, desire some form of bonding. And so there's a lot more to the story than just economics. Yes, it does have a large portion of it being economics, but I don't think a story being about economics, or having a percentage of it being economics, doesn't just inherently make the story bad. And that's what I have an issue with those kind of titles. And that's why I just feel like some of these content creators are building their opinion around the title, rather than it being the title working within what their opinions are. And so I do question if their own opinion is really genuine, or if they're just trying to say something to kind of provoke a response, because I find it a little bit hypocritical, especially when you see those same content creators that are like watching other animes like Slime. Slime has a lot of politics in it. It has economics in it as well. Sure, it's not as prevalent as, say, like Spice and Wolf, but it also has that stuff in there. But then they say in their video with Spice and Wolf, oh, economics shouldn't be good in an anime. It's like, huh? Shouldn't be good. So you're saying that any form of economics just makes a show bad? I think that's kind of narrow-minded. That's just them saying, hey, I don't like economics in my anime, but let me proceed to praise other animes that also have economics in it. And this is where lies the problem. When you start making your videos around the title and building your opinion around the title, you start creating hypocritical mindsets. That's where I have the problem. And I'm sure I'm going to get hate for this from certain content creators. They're going to probably see this and think it's a personal attack on them. No, I just think it's a bad way to do content. And I think some of the weird responses to Spice and Wolf just don't make any sense, because yeah, economics doesn't inherently make an anime bad. That's like me saying action makes an anime bad. It's like action is in a bit of every anime. Economics is in a multitude of animes. I mean, Overlord had economics in it, not a main prevalent part, but it has a part in it. And of course Slime, and I use Slime as an example, and also Moonlit Fantasy as well. I use those two as prime examples is because those are the current airing animes, so those are good ones to use. But I think it's just one of those where content creators, again, trying to find something to throw to kind of get a response, and instead of being honest with their own opinions, they're kind of just working around it. So again, just want to kind of rant on that because I think it's really weird how they've worded it. But Spice and Wolf is a lot more heavier in economics, and I love that about it. I love how it delves into how money moves around, but it also goes into like going from town to town, the different atmospheres, the different people, the different cultures, and how they go about trading not just goods and services, but how it also impacts their culture as well, and how one thing sold in one location, another thing sold in another location can be very different based on the environment that they're in as well, whether it's through pelts being certain strengths based on the types of food and environment that they're in, and just other little miscellaneous things. And then also the whole culture about religion rising up, politics rising up, and also the idea of that Hollow is no longer as worshipped as she used to be, or beloved as she used to be, and how some people are kind of seeing that as, well, we don't need you anymore. And it feels so ungrateful the way they gained so much benefit from her, and now that they don't need her anymore, they cast her aside and try and lash out at her. And I just think, yeah, it's very pathetic and childish to kind of throw aside what you were using to benefit yourselves and those around you, and now they turn on it. And that clearly is going to be a major part of the story going forward, her being on the run against some of these people that are going to want to do harm to her because they see her as potentially a thorn in their side of what they want to see as a gain. I love Spice and Wolf. I've loved where the story is going so far, but I will say it is a slow burner as well. It's one of those like Frieren or Frieren, however you want to pronounce it. I get yelled at either way. It's one of those where it's a slow burner. You're in it for the long haul, and I'm very glad that this anime is going to be 2 cores, because it needs to be. It's not, I feel like if it was a single core, even if the past anime didn't exist, I feel like it wouldn't do as well if it was a single core, because this is one of those stories where it's a longer journey. You need to be in it for a longer period, and I think also binge watching it also helps as well, because I think watching it episode by episode kind of feels like even if the episode is like 25 minutes long, it feels like you're watching 5 minutes a lot of the time, because there is a lot of talking, there is a lot of stuff being built up, and all those kind of little parts, like again, money, politics, culture, religion, world building, character building, all those things intertwine together, and it can sometimes take a bit of time to build up. Surprise, surprise, I do like those slower stories, as long as it gives you important and relevant information and doesn't just info dump random stuff that's just not important and just is kind of there to fluff it up. But Spice and Wolf does not do that. And I myself am a filthy capitalist. I love my capitalism. I just feel like saying that because it triggers people, but I love the economics. I love money and seeing how it works, how it flows, the exchange of goods and services, and then seeing how that also builds into them exchanging culture, because by exchanging goods and services, you are in a part exchanging a part of your culture. If you go to, say, like a village and they specialize in growing olives, and you're buying those and then taking those to another location and consuming them, you're tasting that part of their culture. That is a great part of their structure of their society, because a lot of them would work in those fields. It's the same as a wheat. Like, you could go far out into the country, and many towns and villages will have large amounts of wheat harvesting. And so that's a part of their culture, a part of their society. That's something that they eat a lot of. And it also comes with other things like them maybe having different types of recipes that are very much specialized in the types of things that grow in their areas. There are certain things that maybe that they could combine with other fruits, meats, etc. That's what I mean about Spice and Wolf. There's a lot more to the story than just money. But I get very confused at why some content creators are wording it like, oh, well, this should be a boring series, but it isn't. And it's like, why should it be boring? What, because it's got money and economics in it that automatically ticks it as should be boring? I think that's silly in my opinion. And I think that, I don't think they're being honest in their own opinion. And I think, as I said, and I know I'm going to cause some controversy, but I stand by this. I think too many content creators or anti-tubers are building their opinion around a title rather than building a title around the opinion, and which leads them to creating kind of loopholes and hypocrisies in their own way of thinking. Again, if you disagree with me, that's perfectly fine, but I'm just voicing my own opinion, and I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. So again, if you like this video, hit the like, subscribe. I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.